What if I told you that the person who saved a $300 million defense contract wasn't an engineer, wasn't a consultant, wasn't even supposed to be in the room, but a shy girl who cleaned floors for minimum wage? It started on a night like any other, or so it seemed. 2 a.m. The 37th floor of Skybridge Technologies sits silent except for the hum of servers and the quiet swish of a mop across polished tile. This is where defense contracts worth hundreds of millions are built in code and algorithms. Where engineers in expensive suits solve problems most people will never understand. And where Cameron Brooks, 27 years old, cleans up after them. She moves through the technical wing like a shadow, unnoticed, unremarkable, invisible. The kind of shy girl executives look through rather than at. Her uniform hangs loose on her thin frame. Dark circles shadow her eyes from years of working nights, raising a brother, surviving on hope that ran out long ago. She pauses beside a security monitor. A red flash anomaly detected. Most people would keep walking. It's not her job, not her world, but Cameron stops. Her hand tightens on the mop handle. She leans closer, studying the pattern of numbers scrolling across the screen. Something's wrong. The anomaly repeats 3 times, same sequence, same interval. Her mother's voice echoes from 10 years ago. You see things differently, sweetheart. That's not a weakness. But different meant alone. Different meant invisible. The conference room door swings open. Miles Hale, CEO 34, and ice-calm strides in with 6 engineers. They're arguing about failure rates, system vulnerabilities, a contract deadline bleeding closer. A paper slips from someone's hand, a printed algorithm model. It drifts to the floor near Cameron's feet. She picks it up, glances at it for maybe 2 seconds, and then so quietly she barely hears herself. If you shift the nodes here, the loop will stabilize. 7 heads turn toward her. The room goes completely still. What happened next would expose a conspiracy that nearly destroyed everything and prove that this shy girl had been the smartest person in the building all along. An engineer breaks the silence first. Wait, shift. How you mean adjusting the recurring nodes? Cameron's heart hammers. She shouldn't have spoken. She never speaks. But the words tumble out anyway. Yes. If you move the 3rd node to the right, it balances the cycle. You'll avoid the infinite loop causing the anomaly. Isabella Quinn, Chief Operating Officer, steps forward. 32 sharp as broken glass, always watching for threats. You're a janitor, she says, voice dripping with dismissal. Don't talk about things you don't understand. Cameron's face burns. She drops her gaze to the floor where she belongs. But Miles hasn't moved. He's staring at her with an expression she can't read. Finally, stay. Sir, Isabella's voice tightens. I said stay. Miles gestures to an empty chair. Sit down. The engineers exchange glances. Cameron's hands shake as she lowers herself into the chair, still gripping the mop handle like a lifeline. Miles pulls up the security model on the main screen. Show me. For the next 10 minutes, this shy girl who spent years making herself invisible explains what she sees, patterns the engineers missed, inefficiencies in the code architecture, vulnerabilities in the encryption sequence. She doesn't use technical jargon. She doesn't need to. She sees it the way some people see music, complete and whole. When she finishes, the room holds its breath. One engineer whispers, "That would actually work." Isabella's jaw tightens. "This is absurd. We can't let—" "Thank you, Cameron," Miles interrupts. "We'll discuss this further." Cameron flees the moment she's dismissed, certain she's just destroyed the only job keeping her and Ethan alive. She catches the last bus home at 4 a.m., her reflection ghostly in the dark window. The city blurs past buildings full of people who belong somewhere, who have futures that don't balance on a paycheck barely covering rent. Her phone buzzes. A text from Mrs. Chen, the neighbor watching Ethan. He had another episode. Used inhaler. Sleeping now. Cameron closes her eyes. Ethan's asthma has gotten worse. The medication he needs costs $300 monthly, even with assistance. She's been rationing it, praying each dose lasts longer. She couldn't save their mother. The hospital had been overcrowded, understaffed. By the time someone noticed her mother's condition had worsened, it was too late. Cameron was 17, terrified, suddenly responsible for a baby brother. I wasn't fast enough. Not good enough. The thought loops endlessly. The next evening, Isabella corners her outside the supply closet. Let me be clear, Isabella says, smile, pleasant eyes cold. Try stepping into that meeting room again and you'll lose your job. Understand? Cameron nods, mute. Good. People like you need to remember their place. The words follow Cameron through her shift, through empty corridors, through the weight of invisibility. She's restocking supplies when someone approaches Walter Reed, the night security guard. 68 kind eyes, always carrying coffee that smells better than the break rooms. You dropped this. He holds out her bus pass. Thank you, she whispers. Walter doesn't leave. You know what I see when I look at you? Cameron shakes her head. Someone who sees what others overlook, that's rare. Don't bury it because the world told you to stay small. She wants to believe him. But Walter doesn't know about Ethan's medical bills. Doesn't know she abandoned a full scholarship in systems engineering because tuition assistance didn't cover childcare, didn't cover food, didn't cover being 18 and utterly alone. Some of us don't get to be anything but small, she says quietly. Walter studies her. Maybe. Or maybe you're waiting for the right person to notice you've been standing tall all along. At home, Ethan is awake, building something from cardboard and tape. When he sees her, his whole face lights up. Cam, look, I made a rocket, like the ones you told me about. She kneels beside him, forcing a smile. It's perfect, buddy. He coughs, a tight, rattling sound that makes her chest ache. She reaches for the inhaler, counts the remaining doses. 4. Maybe 5 if she's careful. Are we going to be okay? Ethan asks, voice small. Cameron pulls him close. Always. I promise. I couldn't save Mom. If I lose Ethan too. But she doesn't say that part. She just holds him until his breathing evens and prays tomorrow won't be the day the bills finally bury them. What this shy girl didn't know was that Miles Hale was about to discover exactly who she really was, and that discovery would change both their lives forever. This heartwarming journey was only beginning, though the path ahead would test everything she believed about herself. Little did she know her inspirational rise from invisibility had already begun, and Miles was about to become her most unexpected ally. Miles Hale doesn't sleep that night. Instead, he sits in his office on the 40th floor reviewing security footage from the technical wing. He watches Cameron spot the anomaly in seconds, something his team of doctorate-level engineers missed for 3 days. He watches her analyze the algorithm with precision that can't be taught, only born. He pulls up her employee file. The basics are sparse, hired 18 months ago, perfect attendance, 0 issues. But there's a note buried in archived documents from her initial background check. Previous education, full academic scholarship, systems engineering, State University. Status withdrawn, second semester. Miles leans back. Scholarship students don't just walk away. He searches deeper, cross-referencing her name with university records, local news archives. What he finds makes him pause. A decade-old community news article, Neighbors Rally for Teen Raising Baby Brother After Mother's Passing. There's a photo. A 17-year-old girl with Cameron's eyes holding an infant looking like she's trying to disappear. Miles knows that look. He wore it himself after the accident that took Rachel after the world stopped making sense, after he learned that brilliance meant nothing if you couldn't protect the people you loved. He closes the file, but he can't close the image from his mind. The next morning, Cameron receives a message from HR report to executive floor, Office 4012. Her stomach drops. This is it. Isabella followed through. She's being terminated. She takes the elevator up each floor, a countdown to the end. The doors open to polished marble floor-to-ceiling windows, a world so removed from hers, it might as well be another planet. Miles's assistant shows her in. The office is understated, elegant bookshelves lining the walls, city views stretching to the horizon. Miles stands by the window. When he turns, his expression is unreadable. Why does a janitor understand my security model? Cameron's throat closes. I just remember patterns. I'm not really, don't. The word is gentle but firm. Don't minimize what you can do. She falls silent. Miles moves to his desk, retrieves a folder. I reviewed your analysis. Every single point was correct. You identified vulnerabilities my lead engineer completely missed. He pauses. So I'll ask again. Why is someone with your abilities cleaning floors? The question cracks something inside her. Because abilities don't pay for asthma medication. She says words bitter and true. Because scholarships don't cover raising a 10-year-old. Because I dropped out to keep my brother alive and nobody hires a college dropout for anything except jobs nobody else wants. The silence that follows weighs heavy. Miles's expression shifts just slightly. For a moment, he doesn't look like a CEO. He looks like someone who understands losing everything and still having to keep moving. I'm sorry, he says finally. I didn't know. Nobody does. Cameron swallows hard. Can I go? I have my shift. I don't want you cleaning anymore. Her heart stops. Please. I need this job. I'll stay away from the technical wing. I won't speak to anyone. I want you on my team. The words don't make sense. Miles continues, voice steady. Skybridge is about to lose a $300 million defense contract because we can't stabilize our security architecture. I've watched you solve in minutes what my engineers couldn't solve in days. I need that mind. I can't. Yes, you can. He meets her eyes. I'm offering you a position as junior analyst. Salary, benefits, health insurance for you and your brother. You'll work directly with the engineering team. Cameron's hands shake. Why, you don't know me. I know enough. Miles's voice softens just a fraction. I know you see patterns others miss. I know you survived things that would have broken most people. And I know talent when I see it, even when everyone else is too blind to look. For the first time in 10 years, something dangerous stirs in her chest. Hope. I'll need part-time, she manages. Ethan, my brother, has school and his condition. We'll accommodate it. And if I fail, you won't. Miles holds her gaze. But if you're worried, consider this a trial. 3 months. Prove to yourself what I already know. Cameron's vision blurs. She nods, voice failing. One more thing, Miles adds. Emergency meeting tomorrow. The security team is escalating the anomaly you detected. I want you there. Isabella won't. Isabella doesn't make decisions about my team. The words settle between them like a promise. As Cameron leaves, she doesn't notice Walter watching from the security station, a small smile on his weathered face. She doesn't see Isabella in the hallway, expression frozen in barely concealed fury. All she knows is that for the first time since her mother passed, someone looked at her and saw more than a problem or a shadow. Someone saw her. What makes this story so inspirational is how one person's willingness to truly see another can transform everything. This heartwarming moment between a broken CEO and an overlooked genius would ripple outward in ways neither could imagine. But stepping into the light would make her a target, and the greatest threat to Skybridge wasn't coming from outside at all. The emergency meeting is called for 8 a.m. Executive Conference Room, all senior leadership required. Cameron arrives 15 minutes early wearing borrowed clothes from Mrs. Chen because she owns nothing appropriate for this world. Her hands won't stop shaking. She sits in the back corner trying to make herself invisible again. Old habits die hard. Isabella is first to arrive. When she sees Cameron, her smile is razor sharp. How charming. Miles is letting the help sit in on strategy meetings now. Before Cameron can respond, Miles enters with his head of security and lead engineer. He pulls out the chair beside his own. Cameron, up here. Every eye turns toward her. She moves forward on legs that don't feel solid. Hyper-aware of Isabella's stare burning into her back. The security chief opens the briefing. The anomaly detected 3 nights ago isn't isolated. We've identified 17 separate instances over 6 weeks. Each appeared random different times, different system nodes. We treated them as background noise. But they're not noise, Miles says quietly. He looks at Cameron. Are they? She swallows hard, fighting the instinct to stay quiet. No. They're patterned. The timing intervals follow a Fibonacci sequence. Whoever designed this wanted it to look random, but it's deliberate. An engineer frowns. If it's deliberate, that means sabotage. Miles finishes. Someone is intentionally destabilizing our security architecture. Isabella leans forward, voice smooth. With respect, we're taking the word of someone with no credentials, no experience. This is paranoia, not analysis. Show them, Miles says to Cameron. Cameron stands, legs trembling, and moves to the screen. She pulls up the data logs, highlights the sequences. Here and here. Each anomaly creates a micro-vulnerability too small to trigger alarms, but enough to degrade encryption over time. In 3 more weeks, the entire defense protocol would have a backdoor wide enough to allow competitor access to our complete system, including the defense contract code. The room goes silent. Isabella stands abruptly. This is absurd. You're trusting some janitor's conspiracy theory over your own COO. I've personally overseen this system. That's exactly the problem. Miles interrupts, voice cold. You've overseen it. You have root access. According to our security logs, you're one of 3 people who could have implemented these changes without detection. Isabella's face goes pale, then red. How dare you? I'm not accusing you, Miles says evenly. I'm stating facts. We're conducting a full internal audit. Anyone with administrative access will be investigated, including you. For a moment, Isabella looks like she might lunge across the table. Then she collects herself, smile brittle. Of course, I welcome any investigation that will clear my name and expose this misunderstanding. But her eyes, when they land on Cameron, promise destruction. The meeting ends. Cameron escapes to the restroom, splashes water on her face, tries to stop shaking. She just accused the chief operating officer of corporate sabotage. She might as well have signed her own termination. When she exits, Isabella is waiting. You have no idea what you've done, Isabella says softly. I've worked for this company 8 years. I built this division from nothing, and you think you can walk in and destroy me. I didn't. You didn't think. Isabella steps closer. I have connections in every department, lawyers on retainer, resources you can't imagine. All I need is one mistake from you, one login at the wrong time, one piece of evidence that you accessed something unauthorized. Cameron's blood runs cold. I would never, doesn't matter. By the time legal sorts it out, you'll be gone. And that sick little brother of yours, good luck affording his medication when you're unemployable. Isabella walks away, heels clicking like gunshots. Cameron stands frozen, unable to breathe. This was a mistake. She should have stayed invisible, should have kept her mouth shut. Her phone buzzes. Ethan's school nurse. Ethan had an asthma episode during recess. He's okay, but please call. The floor tilts beneath her. She runs. She makes it to the elevator, then the parking garage, then the street, gasping for air that won't come. She calls the school, hands shaking so badly she can barely hold the phone. Ms. Brooks, Ethan is fine. He's resting in my office, but his inhaler was nearly empty. You'll need a refill soon. I know. I will. Her voice breaks. Can you tell him I'll pick him up early? Of course. Cameron ends the call and slides down against a concrete wall. She presses her palms against her eyes. I couldn't save Mom. If I lose Ethan too. Cameron. She looks up. Miles is standing there, concern etched across his face. I'm sorry, she manages. I just needed air. I'll come back. No. He sits beside her on the grimy sidewalk, this CEO in his expensive suit, and for a moment, they're just two people carrying wounds too heavy to name. What happened? She tells him. Isabella's threat. Ethan's inhaler. The weight of 10 years collapsing at once. When she finishes, Miles is quiet. I lost someone too, he finally says. 5 years ago. Rachel. We were supposed to marry. His voice is distant, carefully controlled. Car accident. She passed before the ambulance arrived, and I stood there knowing everything about systems and algorithms and logic and absolutely nothing about how to save her. Cameron looks at him, really looks, and sees the same scar she carries. I stopped trusting myself after that, Miles continues. Stopped believing intuition mattered. Because if I couldn't save the one person I loved most. He pauses. But watching you, the way you see things, trust what you know, even when everyone says you're wrong, it reminds me that maybe I gave up something important. What if Isabella's right? Cameron whispers. What if I'm wrong? You're not. Miles meets her eyes. And I'm going to prove it. This heartwarming moment of connection between two wounded souls would become the foundation for everything that followed, proof that healing often comes from the most unexpected places. But neither of them realized the proof would come from the most unexpected source, and that the real conspiracy went far deeper than anyone imagined. That evening, Walter finds Miles in the parking garage. You have a minute? The old security guard asks. Miles nods, too exhausted to question why. Walter leads him to the security office, pulls a metal box from his locker. Cameron's locker broke last month. Maintenance never fixed it. She asked me to hold on to this. He opens it. Inside, notebooks filled with handwritten algorithm notes, equations that would make most engineers weep. STEM competition awards from high school certificates of excellence. A doctor's letter about Ethan's chronic asthma, estimated annual medication costs circled in red pen. And at the bottom, a photograph Cameron, maybe 16, holding her mother's hand in a hospital bed, both trying to smile. Miles feels something crack in his chest. She learned from me, Walter says quietly. After her mother passed, she'd come to the university library where I worked security back before I retired. She'd read engineering textbooks for hours, asked me questions. I was a NASA engineer once long ago. Lost my wife, decided I wanted a quieter life. Why didn't she tell anyone? Miles asks. Because the world taught her that people like her don't get to be brilliant. They get to be invisible. Walter's eyes are sad. Some geniuses choose the shadows, son. But this world already has too much darkness. It's time she stepped forward. Miles takes the box. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't let them bury her again. Miles spends the night in his office, going through every piece of evidence. He pulls Cameron's analysis, cross-references it, with system logs, traces the pattern backward. She was right. Every single point. But more when he overlays the sabotage timestamps with administrative access logs, a pattern emerges. Someone with root privileges made changes during maintenance windows. Someone who knew exactly when security monitoring would be lightest. He calls his legal team at 2 a.m. I need every email, every file transfer, every login from Isabella Quinn's accounts for the past 6 months. By morning. Sir, that's to do it. I'll authorize the warrant myself. At 6 a.m., legal delivers. The evidence is damning encrypted emails to Protect Solutions, Skybridge's largest competitor. File transfers of proprietary code. A contract offer, COO position, double salary pending acquisition of Skybridge's defense division. Isabella wasn't just sabotaging the company. She was selling it piece by piece. Miles sits back, the weight of betrayal settling over him. Someone he trusted, someone he promoted, had been hollowing out his company from the inside. And the only person who noticed was someone everyone else refused to see. The next morning, Miles calls an emergency board meeting. Isabella arrives, confident, smiling. Cameron is escorted in by security. She looks terrified. Miles doesn't waste time. 2 weeks ago, our security architecture began showing anomalies. Small, easy to dismiss. But Cameron Brooks identified them as sabotage. He projects the data. She was correct. An executive frowns. How can you be certain? Because our legal team traced the source. Miles turns to Isabella. You implemented a backdoor protocol. You've been transferring proprietary code to Protect Solutions for 5 months. In exchange, they offered you a position contingent on their acquisition of our defense division. Isabella's smile doesn't waver. That's absurd. We have the emails, the file transfers, the contract. Miles's voice is ice. You tried to destroy this company for more power. And when someone finally noticed, you tried to destroy her too. Isabella's mask cracks. You always choose others over loyalty, over the people who built this company. You didn't build anything, Miles interrupts. You dismantled it. Security will escort you from the building. Legal will contact you regarding formal charges. For a moment, Isabella looks like she might fight. Then her gaze lands on Cameron, and pure hatred flashes across her face. All because of a janitor, she whispers. 2 security officers flank her. She walks out, spine rigid, the illusion of control barely holding. The room erupts in whispers. Miles raises his hand for silence. Cameron Brooks saved this company. She saw what we refused to see. And starting today, she's our new lead systems analyst. Cameron stares at him, eyes wide. The defense contract is secure. The board has approved a complete security overhaul, which Cameron will help design. And I'm implementing a new policy: no one in this company will be overlooked again based on their job title or background. Talent exists at every level. We just have to be willing to see it. The room is silent. Then slowly, one executive starts clapping. Another joins. Within moments, the entire room is applauding. Cameron covers her face, tears streaming. Justice, finally, after 10 years of being invisible. This inspirational moment proved that sometimes the most heartwarming victories come not from climbing the ladder, but from someone brave enough to extend a hand and pull you up. But the greatest transformation was still to come, because some wounds heal not through victory, but through connection. 3 months later, Cameron sits at her desk on the technical floor, not cleaning it, working at it. Her nameplate reads, Cameron Brooks, Lead Systems Analyst. Some mornings, she still can't believe it's real. Ethan's medical bills are covered under her new insurance. His asthma specialist says with consistent treatment, he could live a completely normal life. The apartment they moved into has 2 bedrooms. Ethan has his own space for the first time, walls covered in drawings of rockets and stars. But the best part, Cameron doesn't feel invisible anymore. Walter stops by her desk most afternoons, brings coffee, discusses algorithm theory like old times. He officially came out of retirement to consult on the security overhaul. Couldn't let you have all the fun, he'd said with a wink. The team respects her, listens when she speaks, asks her opinion. She's learning to take up space. Late one evening, Miles finds her still working. Most of the office has gone home. You know you don't have to prove yourself anymore, right? He says gently. Cameron looks up, smiles. Old habits. He sits on the edge of her desk. Over the past months, they've developed an easy rhythm, colleagues, friends, something undefined that hums quietly between them. How's Ethan? Miles asks. Good. Really good. Her voice softens. He asked about you yesterday. Wanted to know when you're coming over again. Miles had started visiting on weekends, helping Ethan with rocket models, teaching him basic coding. At first, Cameron thought it was pity. But she'd watched the way Miles's whole face changed around her brother, the way he laughed, the way the ice around his heart seemed to thaw a little more each time. I have something for you, Miles says. He hands her an envelope. Inside, a grant approval letter. Full-ride scholarship for returning adult students in systems engineering. Her name at the top. Miles. She can't finish the sentence. You earned this 10 years ago. Life just got in the way. His voice is warm. The company will work around your class schedule. Ethan's after-school care is covered, and if you need anything tutoring time support, you have it. Cameron's vision blurs. Why are you doing all this? Miles is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is raw in a way she's never heard. Because you reminded me that the world isn't just systems and logic. It's people, connection, second chances. He meets her eyes. You saved more than the company, Cameron. You saved the part of me that I thought died with Rachel. The air between them shifts. I've been invisible for so long. Cameron whispers, I don't know how to let someone really see me. You're not invisible to me. Miles reaches out, hesitates, then gently takes her hand. You never were. She doesn't pull away. For the first time in 10 years, she lets herself be seen fully, completely, without armor. Ethan's rocket presentation is Saturday, she says softly. He'd really love it if you came. Miles smiles and it transforms his whole face. I'll be there. And maybe, after... Cameron's heart pounds. You could stay for dinner. Nothing fancy, just us. I'd like that. Outside, the city lights glitter against the night sky. Somewhere below, people rush home to families, to lives filled with ordinary miracles they might not even recognize. But up here, 2 people who thought they'd lost everything are learning to hope again. Thank you, Cameron says, for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Miles squeezes her hand gently. Thank you for reminding me that the quietest people sometimes carry the loudest light. This inspirational journey from a shy girl scrubbing floors to a brilliant analyst changing lives proves that recognition and kindness can transform everything. What began as a heartwarming act of noticing someone others overlooked had blossomed into something far more profound, a second chance at hope, at family, at love.